Chapter 21 Dian Wei, You All Come Together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuan City, the Emperor's personal study. A man dressed in black knelt before Emperor Yu, his face etched with fear. Incompetent. What good are you to me? The Emperor barked. Such a major incident in the military camp, and you knew nothing? This is the capital, right under my nose. Emperor Yu hurled a glass cup. It shattered near the kneeling man, who didn't flinch, sweat beading on his forehead as he silently awaited his fate. After his outburst, Emperor Yu regained a semblance of composure. So, he said coldly, my brother and Changning have completely taken control of the new military camp? Yes, Your Majesty. They've seized control, rescued the 3 generals. Chen Fang is already headed back to Beijing. Does Chen Fang harbor any rebellious thoughts? I'm unsure, but the princess is also returning to Beijing. I suspect she'll be seeking an audience with you soon. Humph. Emperor Yu snorted, took a sip of tea, and slammed the cup down. Don't let this happen again, or the secret guard will become obsolete. Yes, Your Majesty. The man in black wiped his brow. Regarding the military camp. Investigate. A thorough investigation. I want to know every single move made in that camp. Secretly detain Chen Fang, interrogate him, and block all news from leaking out. I want to know if the Chen family is behind this. Yes, Your Majesty. West Camp. Shouts of battle filled the air as mounted generals, brandishing wooden sticks and spears, charged back and forth with seemingly bloodthirsty abandon. In mere minutes, over 30 men had been unhorsed. Xu Bao, starting tomorrow, we begin recruit training per the general outline. Ning Fan commanded. The king has ordered the Ministry of Works to construct the necessary tools overnight. They'll be delivered to the camp first thing in the morning. I'm giving you 1 day to roll out this new training method. Yes, Your Highness. Qin Qiong nodded solemnly. The mock battle was clearly reaching its climax. 40 riders, exuding the confidence of victors, gathered at the stage, each radiating fighting spirit. Ning Fan turned to Qin Qiong and Dian Wei. How about a 3rd round? Who's up for it? Dian Wei's face lit up. Your Highness, let me. A born warrior, he never passed up a chance for action. All right, Eli, you're on. Nye Fong and the others looked puzzled. Your Highness, what will the 3rd round entail? Ning Fan smiled enigmatically, stepped forward, and announced in a loud voice, Congratulations, everyone. You've made it to the 3rd round. Survive this, and you'll be named captain in my new army. Your Highness, what are the rules for this round? One of the men called out, his face a mixture of joy and anticipation. Simple. Ning Fan pointed to the imposing figure of Dian Wei. If you can last 20 rounds against this man, you pass and earn the rank of captain. What? A stunned silence fell over the camp. Every eye turned to Dian Wei, a flicker of doubt in their expressions. Was His Highness planning to have them fight him one by one? Your Highness, are you serious? Absolutely. Ning Fan winked at Dian Wei, who nodded, strode into the arena, and faced the men, his axes nowhere in sight. Who wants to go first? I do. The man who had questioned the rules earlier pushed forward, leaping from his horse into the arena. Come on. He declared, raising his wooden spear. Eli, be careful. Ning Fan warned. Dian Wei grinned. He tossed his axes off the platform and said to the general, all right, let's get this show on the road. The crowd exchanged bewildered glances. Even Qiu Tianlu leaned into Ning Fan and said, Your Highness, isn't it a bit much for a warrior to fight unarmed? It's fine. Lasting 20 rounds against Eli with weapons is impressive enough. Eli, watch yourself. Ning Fan's words carried across the camp. Your Highness, you underestimate us. Someone shouted. Yeah, the black-faced dude might be tough, but unarmed. It'll be a walk in the park to knock him off the platform. What if all 40 of us last 20 rounds? Ning Fan chuckled. If all 40 of you last 20 rounds, I'll reward each of you with 1,000 gold coins. How's that? Your Highness. Ning Fan and the others looked increasingly concerned. This wasn't a simple fight. This was 40 men against one, a grueling gauntlet. And these were seasoned fighters, some even battle-hardened veterans. If Dian Wei lost, His Highness would lose face. Let's begin. Ning Fan remained unmoved, his eyes focused on the arena. Dian Wei shot forward like an arrow, throwing a punch with no finesse. Humph. Let's see what you've got. The general sneered and swung his wooden spear. Dian Wei snagged the spear, snapping it in half with an elbow strike. The general, now rattled, dropped the broken shaft and threw a punch. The two punches connected. Dian Wei leaned back, planting his hands on the ground and kicking out with both feet, catching the man squarely in the chest. The general flew through the air and crashed back to earth. Hiss. The crowd gasped. 3 moves. The general couldn't even last 3 moves, let alone 20 rounds. Next. Dian Wei grinned. Your Highness, why not just have them all come at me at once? Arrogant. Big talk, huh? This is ridiculous. Even if we can't beat you alone, we can sure teach you some manners if we fight you together. Your Highness. Dian Wei looked up at Ning Fan again. The latter chuckled and nodded. Alright, since everyone's so riled up, let's make it a free-for-all. The rules are like the first round. Dian Wei is one team, and the 40 of you are the other. The last 20 standing become captains. Sounds good. Let's go, brothers. Let's teach this loudmouth a lesson he won't forget. Chapter 22 Ning Fan's Wrist. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Watching the general swagger up to the platform, Dian Wei, shedding his armor, braced himself. Shu Bao, how long do you think they'll last against him? My lord, 80 rounds, tops. Really? Ning Fan looked surprised. He knew Dian Wei was a powerhouse, but these generals averaged a force value of 70 or 80. Could 40 of them really not last 80 rounds? He turned to Qin Qiong. What about you? Hand to hand, 100 rounds maybe. On horseback? 50, at best. Wow. Ning Fan and the others exchanged glances, silently picturing themselves in that situation. Could they hold off 40 guys? Begin. At Ning Fan's command, chaos erupted. 40 men swarmed Dian Wei, who retreated strategically, keeping the initiative. Some tried to cut him off, cornering him, but Dian Wei suddenly pivoted, attacking the center. In just a few rounds, he had 7 or 8 guys on the ground. Unbelievable, Ning Fan exclaimed, impressed. Foot fighting was clearly his specialty. Dian Wei's got the upper hand now. If these generals can't coordinate, they won't even last 50 rounds. Ha! Good, this'll toughen them up. The Imperial army hasn't seen action in years. They've been coddled in the capital, getting soft. Time for some serious training. There are some real fighters in the new army. I bet these guys get replaced within a month. Their performance doesn't deserve their rank. Ning Fan's words clearly resonated with Ning Fan and the others. He was sending a message. The new military system demanded hard work and dedication. Those who were capable would rise, and the mediocre would fall. To keep their jobs, they'd have to step up their game. Long term, this would create a virtuous cycle among the 100,000 troops. Their combat power would be insane. Ning Fan. Sir. Are you confident you can lead an army? Hearing Ning Fan's question, Ning Fan practically vibrated with excitement. Your Highness, absolutely. And you too? Ning Fan looked at Qiu Tianlu and Chai Yu, who nodded emphatically, regarding him with awe. They'd heard the stories about this playboy prince. But after spending half a day with him, they saw he wasn't the clueless buffoon everyone said. He had an undeniable presence, a way of commanding respect simply by standing there. He now controlled the entire new army camp. Their future success or failure rested in his hands, and their ambition ignited. "Your Highness, we won't let you down." Ning Fan didn't immediately respond but watched the fight below, a smile playing on his lips. "It's almost over." Dian Wei kicked a beefy guy off the platform. Only 21 men remained. "Third round's done." Ning Fan smiled slightly. "From now on, the top 20 are military captains, each commanding a camp of 5,000 men." "Thank you, Your Highness." The 20 were thrilled, bowing to Ning Fan with respect. "How are you feeling?" Ning Fan's expression was mischievous as he observed the captains. Amazing, of course. I can't believe I'm in charge of 5,000 guys." "Your Highness, how do we climb to general?" "Yeah, if I can beat the general, can I become a general?" Excitement bubbled among the 20 lieutenants. Someone noticed Ning Fan's face, and the smile slowly faded. The noise gradually died down. "What's this, you're all excited? Happy? So proud you beat 200 guys to get this captaincy." Ning Fan's face was now expressionless. The lieutenants lowered their heads, not daring to meet his gaze. A bunch of garbage. 40 against 1, 50 rounds, and not only did you not get the advantage, but half of you got wiped out. You have no shame, and you're bragging? Competing for general? Okay. Ning Fan pointed to Dian Wei. Any of you knock him down? I won't just make you general, I'll let you command all 100,000 new troops. But can you? Ning Fan was merciless, a hint of mockery in his voice. I'm not trying to insult you, but I doubt any of you have the guts to even try. The 20 lieutenants remained silent, heads bowed. Ning Fan continued, believe it or not, in a month, some unknown in the new army will rise through the ranks and take your spot. At least half of you will get replaced. Then the subordinates you bossed around will be the ones in charge. What will you do then? Some of you may have gotten here because of your family or connections, but from now on, in my new army camp, strength is all that matters. You think you're important? Who's more important than me? You have connections. In this camp, I make the rules. Ning Fan was pouring cold water on their arrogance. Some secretly clenched their fists, some looked ashamed, and some even looked scornful. Qin Qiong, Nie Feng, Qiu Tianlu, Chai Yu, step forward. Reporting. From now on, each of you will command 20,000 men, named after the 4 symbols, azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. I will personally command 20,000 men, the Qilin. 3 months from now, the entire army will hold a training exercise. Yes, sir. Ning Fan's expression was amused. Don't celebrate yet. In 3 months, the 5 armies will face off. The losing army? Every officer above lieutenant runs naked around the camp. Chapter 23, one of the 4 great assassins of the spring and autumn period, Zhuan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Ning Fan's words, the generals' faces fell. Running around the military camp naked? That was a fate worse than death. Ning Fan then looked at Qin Qiong, who handed the training manual he'd prepared to Nie Feng and the others. Gentlemen, Qin Qiong said, from now on, all soldiers in the new army camp will train using this method. What's this? It's a new training method that focuses on physical fitness instead of just military formations. Study it carefully. Training starts tomorrow morning. Yes, sir. The 3 generals looked serious, glancing at Ning Fan before taking the manual. After a quick look, their faces changed. Your Highness, who came up with this? It's unheard of. Training arm strength like this. I can't believe there are so many ways to use a simple bar. Listening to their exclamations, Ning Fan said calmly, "As you know, this new army is intended to reinforce our border troops. Which means these 100,000 soldiers could be scattered among border units. Your assignments could change, so I hope you can mold these soldiers into an invincible fighting force. A force so strong, even the court will think twice." Hearing Ning Fan's words, the three nodded solemnly. Ning Fan then turned to Qin Xiong. "Shu Bao, until the princess returns, you're in charge of all military affairs." "Yes, sir." After settling things at the military camp, Ning Fan returned to Beijing. Now that the new army was still being formed, the priority was dividing it into 20 camps and 5 armies. Qin Xiong was more than capable of handling that. Inside the palace, Li Xiaoning and her brother stood respectfully before Emperor Yu, recounting what they had seen and heard. The emperor remained calm, his eyes like a bottomless pit, betraying no emotion. "You did well today. Where's Qinfang now?" "Your Majesty, he awaits outside the palace." Emperor Yu pondered for a long moment. "Imprison him in the Ministry of Justice jail, pending punishment." "As you command." Li Xiaoning bowed and left with Li Yan. As soon as they exited the hall, a figure in black emerged from the shadows. "Your Majesty. Did you find anything?" The man in black nodded. "I've investigated the Chen family thoroughly and found nothing suspicious. However, Hung Ziyuzo is definitely involved." "I see." Emperor Yu nodded. "Hung Ziyuzo is untouchable. This matter is closed. Take Chen Fang for interrogation, and warn the Chen family. This world belongs to me, not the Chen family." "Yes, sir." "Now, tell me what happened in the military camp." "Reporting to your Majesty, His Highness." That Emperor Yu frowned. "What mischief has that rebellious son gotten into this time?" "Your Majesty, His Highness King Xianyong is reorganizing the new army, dividing it into 5 armies and 20 camps. He's also set up a competition for all the generals to select 20 lieutenants, each leading a camp of 5,000 soldiers." Emperor Yu's eyes narrowed, his face hardening. "Tell me everything." "Yes, sir." The man in black recounted Ning Fan's every word and action at the camp. Emperor Yu's expression grew increasingly serious. Looking at the man in black, he whispered, "Where is my second brother?" "Reporting to your Majesty, His Highness has returned to his residence." "Returned to his residence?" Emperor Yu frowned, then said, "Summon Ji Sui to see me." "As you command." Xianyong Palace. Ning Fan sat in the courtyard, painting a strange, cup-shaped object on rice paper. "Can they make this?" "Su Bo. At your service. Find some craftsmen for me." "Yes, sir." Ning Fan weighed down the blueprint with the ink stone. "Congratulations, Master, task completed, training, 2. Congratulations, Master, Spring and Autumn Assassin randomly summoned, merit value, 500 points. After system evaluation, task rating is A-level, high-level lottery awarded." Seeing the golden words on the task board, Ning Fan smiled. "Another A-level. Looks like an S-level evaluation is going to be tough. System, summon the Spring and Autumn Assassin. Summoning, please wait." "Congratulations, Master, you have obtained the famous Spring and Autumn Assassin, Zhuan Zhu." "Zhuan Zhu?" Ning Fan looked surprised. Check Zhuan Zhu's attribute page, name, Zhuan Zhu star. Dynasty, Western Zhou, Wu. Loyalty, diehard, military strength, 92, intelligence, 76, leadership, 71, politics, 56, army, none, magic weapon, Yuchang sword, mount, none, unique skill, hidden sword, special attributes, hidden kill, can conceal his presence, ignores opponent's force value, 90% chance of a fatal attack. Ning Fan was astonished at Zhuan Zhu's special attributes. This was insane. Ignore force value for a fatal attack. Plus, his unique skill was the hidden sword technique, concealing the blade completely. Even a brazen assassination would have a high success rate. System, what does the asterisk after Zhuan Zhu's name mean? Replying to Master, Zhuan Zhu is a pre-Qin hero and remembers his past life. What? Ning Fan was shocked. He was reborn with memories. Did all the Chinese heroes before the Qin dynasty remember their past lives? System, what's going on? Master's current authority is insufficient. Authority can be upgraded after 10 total summons. Ning Fan was stunned. The system could be upgraded. Where's Zhuan Zhu now? Master, Zhuan Zhu is currently in Xianyong Palace. Ning Fan was surprised. He silently shut down the system and felt a cold breeze. He looked around, but saw no one. Zhuan Zhu, Ning Fan called out softly. A figure appeared silently before him, thin and plain-looking, but radiating a murderous aura. Greetings, Master. That's some serious stealth. Ning Fan was a decent warrior, but even he couldn't detect Zhuan Zhu's presence. If Zhuan Zhu wanted him dead, he'd already be a cold corpse. Zhuan Zhu, I want you to form a killer organization. Are you willing? Chapter 24, The First Civil Official, the Poisoned Scholar of the Three Kingdoms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A killer organization, huh? Exactly, Ning Fan nodded, serious now. I'm getting ready to play the court game, but the martial arts world is a force to be reckoned with. I want you to get started there. My lord, training a squad of top-tier assassins. The resources, the cash, it's mind-boggling. Don't sweat that. You just get the team together. I'll handle the funding in a month. That eased Zhuan Zhu's mind. He lowered his voice. My lord, give the organization a name. Name. How about Hades? Yes, sir. Rest assured, my lord. Give me 6 months, and Hades will be a name everyone fears. Good. Ning Fan nodded, a smile playing on his lips. It's a killer org, after all. Secrecy is key. Even our own people can't know who we really are. Got it? Understood. After Zhuan Zhu left, a hard light shone in Ning Fan's eyes. Now he was diving into the court game. When the West Camp news broke, it'd only be a few days before the whole court would be buzzing. The quiet life was over. No turning back now. System, I want to exchange for a top civil servant summoning card. Success. Want to use it now, my lord? Do it. A flash of gold, and a wheel turning in his head. Then a screen popped up, and the system chimed in. Congratulations, Master. You've summoned Jia Su, the famous strategist from the late Han Dynasty. Jia Su. Jia Wenhe. Ning Fan was surprised. He hadn't expected to pull that poisonous advisor, the one from Dong Zhuo's crew. The guy was known for looking out for number one. Ever since Dong Zhuo fell, he'd bounced around, serving one warlord after another. He'd seen Li Ju and Zhang Xiu crash and burn, then jump to Chao Wei and eventually outlive Cao Cao. Cao Pai even made him one of the top 3 officials. He wasn't as famous as Sun Yu or Zhuge Liang, but his smarts were just as sharp. System, show me Jia Su's stats. Name, Jia Su, Dynasty, Late Han, Loyalty, Diehard, Military Strength, 71, Intelligence, 97, Leadership, 85, Politics, 93, Compatibility, Poisoner, Special Attribute, Seed Doubt, increases success rate by 50%. Jia Su was the first civil servant he'd summoned. His stats page was a little different from the general's. No magic weapons or mounts. Special skills were now traits. What really jumped out was the 97 intelligence, then again, surviving that many camps and landing on his feet. That took some serious brains. Jia Su is waiting outside the mansion. Send someone to greet him. Ning Fan was surprised at the system's heads up. He didn't expect Jia Su to show up so fast. He flagged down a guard and told the system to start the advanced lottery. Congratulations, Master. You got a bottle of Tianyuan pills. Tianyuan pills, Ning Fan frowned. He asked the system for the details and his jaw dropped. They're a quick power-up, Tianyuan pill, a magic pill brewed by ancient alchemists. Swallow one and boom, 30 years of internal strength. Only one per person, though. Note, after taking one, internal strength will not improve for life. So internal strength is real. Master, martial arts has two sides, internal and external. Most of the warriors the system summons are external, they build muscle and bone. Internal warriors focus on internal strength. Got it. Same ranks for both. More or less. So, internal warriors also have second-rate, first-rate, and master levels, Ning Fan nodded. Top external warriors were like first-rate internal warriors. Peerless external warriors. They were internal masters. Makes sense, Ning Fan checked the system storage. 30 pills in the bottle. Awesome. 30 years of practice could definitely bump someone up to first-rate, right? Training 30 first-rate warriors overnight. That was a rush. He'd barely left the system when a guard led a monk in a plain robe into the hall. A respectful bow, and he said, Your Highness, this is the man waiting at the gate. Okay, you're dismissed. Ning Fan smiled at Jia Su and said softly, You're Jia Su, Jia Wenhe. Just a commoner, here to meet King Xianyong. Ha, none of that, Ning Fan played it polite and moved to help Jia Su up. Scholars and soldiers were different breeds. Most of them were more high maintenance, and took formal behavior very seriously. Where are you from, Wenhe? Jiangnan. Oh, Ning Fan looked surprised. Jiangnan breeds talent. Didn't expect you to be from there, Wenhe. Who taught you? Your Highness, I was born poor. Just lucky enough to read a few books. Never had a teacher. I see. Sir, what brings you here? To serve you, Your Highness. Why? Ning Fan was amused. The system gave each summoned official a new backstory, a new life, but without the old memories. Word is, Your Highness just took over the west camp of the new army. You're well informed, sir. Heh. Jia Su chuckled. Not exactly a secret in the capital. I've been wandering Beijing for a month now. You hear things. Is that so? Ning Fan raised an eyebrow. So the news of my taking over the west camp has already spread? It has. Jia Su nodded, smiling, with your reputation, Your Highness, it's hard to keep a low profile. Something happened at the camp. What do you know about it? Jia Su frowned, then shook his head slightly. Heard nothing. Looks like Your Highness made some waves. Jia Su's eyes gleamed with understanding. The West Camp is only a few miles from the capital. News travels fast. But there's no buzz in the city. Someone must have clamped down on the news in the army. Someone who can silence the whole camp. The Emperor? Did Your Highness do something to catch His Majesty's attention? Chapter 25 The General Trend of the World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jia Su figured it out right away, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. He leaned into Ning Fan and whispered, Your Highness, is something going down with the army? Sir, you're a mind reader. I'm impressed. Ning Fan smiled, but inside he was surprised. He really had a genius IQ. Forget the planning, his reasoning skills alone were impressive. If I recall, the West Camp is commanded by Chen Fang, former deputy commander of the Imperial Guards, and from the Chen family, one of Dayu's elite families. Is it family-related? Or is General Chen Fang involved? Jia Su frowned. This was serious enough that the emperor would try to bury the news. What kind of mess could happen in the new army? It seemed this Qin descendant caused some trouble. Sir, would you be willing to join my Xianyong palace? Su is yours to command, my lord. At the invitation, Jia Su didn't hesitate. He knelt immediately, declaring his allegiance to his lord. No need to be formal. I need a brilliant strategist like you on my side. With you, I'm set to succeed. My lord, you are too generous. Jia Su smiled modestly before asking seriously, my lord, what's happening at the military camp? Ning Fan explained the situation. Jia Su's face grew solemn. Looks like the Chen family isn't behind this. Chen Feng was completely manipulated by this woman, Hongzhiuzhou. That's right, Ning Fan added, though I wonder which family Hongzhiuzhou's associated with. Jia Su glanced at Ning Fan. My lord, are you aware of the world situation? Of course. Ning Fan thought for a moment. Dayu is in the heart of the Central Plains, surrounded by powerful nations. To the north, the 8 barbarian tribes of Mabe have been raiding for years. To the west, the Dian kingdom eyes us greedily, and to the south. The ancient country of the South barbarians has always coveted the Central Plains, wanting to force their way into our territory. And to the East Hui kingdom is Dayu's old enemy. They've been defeated so many times, and they're out for revenge. Not bad. Jia Su nodded appreciatively, chuckling. My lord, you've forgotten one, Huainan. Huainan. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. The 3 Central Plain countries bordering Dayu were the Dian Kingdom, the East Hui Kingdom, and the Li Kingdom. The southern border borders with the Southern Grassland Dynasty, the ancient country of the South barbarians. The Li Kingdom was southwest of Dayu, bordering Dayu's Huainan 16 states. Years back, when Dayu was at war with Donghuai, the Li Kingdom seized the opportunity, marched north, and invaded Dayu's heartland, seizing 5 counties. The southern border was in danger. Lu Kan, then General Pingnan, requested to fight and led an army of 150,000, defeating the Li army and retaking Dayu's 5 counties, then invading Li's territory and capturing 17 cities. It was a glorious victory. The court and the public were shocked, and the Li kingdom sued for peace. Lu Kan came from a powerful family and held great influence in the court. The ministers wanted him crowned as king, and Lu Kan commanded a large army, not just Dayu's 150,000 main force, but also over 100,000 surrendered soldiers. The 300,000-strong army was stationed in Huainan, which the court feared greatly. Some thought the Lu family was plotting rebellion. Dayu's main force was on the eastern border. If Lu Kan marched north, the dynasty would collapse. The emperor had to grant Lu Kan kingship, making him king of Huainan, dividing the counties into states, and letting him rule Huainan while obeying orders without reporting back. The relationship between Huainan and the court has been delicate, a careful balance. Dayu's 4 borders are unstable, with the main forces defending them. Over the years, they've barely managed to hold their own and haven't been able to expand. Huainan borders the Li kingdom but dares not act rashly. The court rewards Huainan annually. Emperor Yu has been wary of the southern border since he ascended the throne. Wenhe, do you believe the southwest is backing Hongzhiuzhou? Not necessarily. Jia Su shook his head. The king of Huainan has his own army, but if he really planned to rebel, he'd have done it by now. And Hongzhiuzhou attacked the new army camp so brazenly. Where were Dayu's secret guards? The barbarian temple of the ancient country of Nanman has been active in the southern border, but they wouldn't dare go near the capital. My guess is that Donghuai is behind this Hongzhiuzhou. Oh. Ning Fan was skeptical. Why not Li? Ha! Jia Su smiled. Ever since the king of Huainan took Li's 17 cities, Li's power has gradually weakened. They've been battling Dian for years. With the Dian queen's wit, she wouldn't antagonize Dayu again right now. And there's no profit in it. So, Dong Huai is pulling the strings here. I see. Ning Fan understood. 3 months ago, Dayu's 3 dukes marched east and fought Dong Huai at Huaining City. It's been a stalemate for 3 months, with wins and losses on both sides. Both sides are throwing more troops in, a decisive battle looming. If Dong Huai takes Huaining City, it could swallow Dayu. If Dayu wins, the Eastern Territory will be secure for at least 3 to 5 years. Dong Huai has clearly pulled out all the stops, even infiltrating from the inside. It seems Dong Huai's gone all in. Dayu's 3 war heroes are all heading east. This battle will determine the country. Dong Huai won't take Huaining City so easily. Chapter 26 Internal and External Troubles, the discussion of the aristocratic families. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jia Su went into detail about the east border battlefield, and Ning Fan listened intently. He agreed that Dayu and Dong Huai were fully invested in this conflict. One side sought to expand its territory, while the other defended its land and people. Neither would back down easily. Jia Su believed Dayu held a strategic advantage, fortified by the Huai River and backed by Huaining City, with 3 skilled generals in command. While nothing was certain, he estimated their chances of victory at 70 to 80%. What are your thoughts on Dayu's overall situation? Ning Fan asked. Trouble, both inside and out. Jia Su's expression grew grave. Ning Fan met his gaze directly, bowing slightly. Please, enlighten me, sir. Earlier, I discussed the broader world with you. You understand Dayu faces powerful neighbors on all sides. Foreign powers circle, while internally, influential families exert undue influence, creating chaos. Dayu has been in a precarious position for a century, but fortunately, her rulers have been wise, not foolish. That's Dayu's saving grace. Indeed, Ning Fan replied, Dayu has fought for years, just to defend its territory. We're constantly fending off foreign invaders. The military expenses and supplies consumed are staggering, yet we've gained nothing. The people of Dayu are suffering. 9 out of 10 homes stand empty. If this continues, Dayu's demise is imminent. Inside the hall, the 2 men spoke candidly. Outside, 3 figures had quietly appeared. The leader, dressed in a brocade robe, radiated the authority of someone long accustomed to power. His face, stern yet composed, commanded respect. His 2 companions also possessed an air of nobility, their brows hinting at power. They were clearly not ordinary men. This trio comprised Emperor Yu, who had just left the palace, and his entourage, making an unannounced visit to Xianyong Palace. To the emperor's left stood Jingli, commander of the Imperial Guard. And on his right was Ji Sui, the current Minister of War. Your Majesty. Quiet. Emperor Yu silenced Jingli. Inside the hall, the conversation continued. Mr. Yu is right. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. I can't fully resolve the border issues, nor the internal threats. Even my own father is controlled by these families. I didn't realize the extent until I served in the military. It's absurd that even our warhorses depend on the Chen family's stud farms. The salt and iron mines are largely owned by these powerful clans. Most of the civil and military officials in court come from these families, 70 or 80% from the 4 major families alone. If this continues, won't the entire court be monopolized by these families? When all the court officials are from the Big 4, won't my father be sidelined? Ning Fan's tone was heavy, laced with frustration. Outside, Emperor Yu clenched his fists, a flicker of emotion crossing his face. He murmured, I didn't realize my brother understood my struggles so well. But what can I do? Alas, Emperor Yu sighed deeply. Beside him, Jingli and Ji Sui exchanged thoughtful glances. Though they came from noble backgrounds, they couldn't compare to the influence of the 4 great families. Just as they were contemplating the situation, a gentle voice resonated from within the hall, My lord, don't be overly concerned. The current emperor is both wise and brave. While left Prime Minister Lin Qiushi comes from a noble family and is related to the royal family, he remains loyal to His Majesty. The core of the court remains in His Majesty's hands. Besides, His Majesty fought his way through a bloody storm in the past, surely he has some tricks up his sleeve. Yes, Ning Fan's voice cut in, as long as the borders are secure, no one can shake my father's throne. The four great families, or any wealthy clan, are ultimately just paper tigers. If Dayu can eliminate foreign threats or even stabilize the borders, we can free our hands to deal with these so-called great families. Besides, my generals are loyal to my father and the court. Each is a pillar of our nation. Why should I worry? Emperor Yu stood silently, a look of shock on his face. He hadn't expected his brother, who always presented himself as a playboy, to possess such a keen understanding of court politics. Power grows out of the barrel of a gun. Is simply brilliant. What do you make of the second prince's words? Every word is insightful. Yes, I never expected the second prince to have such foresight. The two court officials were visibly moved, but Emperor Yu frowned, whispering, if my brother is so talented, why does he portray himself as a playboy? Could it be that his playboy image has been a disguise all these years? Hearing the emperor's musing, Ji Sui and Jing Li exchanged surprised glances. If the emperor's suspicion was true, how formidable was this playboy prince? He possessed profound insights yet willingly concealed his talents, tarnishing his reputation and feigning frivolousness. That level of self-control alone put them to shame. My lord, you are right. Jia Su's voice echoed again. However, the current political stability hinges on a delicate balance between different factions. Any border disturbance could disrupt that balance. How will Huainan react? Which side will the four great families choose? Could the Central Plains warlords unite and conspire against Dayu? I understand your point, sir. Ning Fan paused before continuing, I have a plan. I seek your counsel. Please, my lord, tell me your plan. As the saying goes, we must first stabilize the country before resisting foreign aggression. Given my father's situation, we must find a way to weaken the noble family's power while maintaining court stability. These families dare to act with impunity, even showing contempt for the imperial power, because they don't fear the court. The reason is that the court needs them, and the unstable borders prevent the court from acting against them easily. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. But what if they had a sword hanging over their heads? Would they still be so fearless? Are you suggesting? Establish a secret intelligence agency within the court, answering only to the emperor, empowered to patrol, arrest, guard the imperial procession, gather foreign intelligence, investigate, interrogate, and make arrests in the name of protecting the palace. Monitor all officials internally and spy on military intelligence externally. They would have the power to execute first and report later. Special permission granted by the emperor. What do you think, sir? As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, not only Jia Su in the hall was astonished, but also the emperor and his two officials outside. A chill ran down the spines of Ji Sui and Jing Li. If such an agency were to exist, how terrifying would it be? Chapter 27 The rise and fall of the world is caused by the suffering of the people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What do you guys think? Emperor Yu turned to his two top advisors. Jing Li smiled innocently, but Ji Sui, looking thoughtful, said casually, Your Majesty's plan will certainly give those officials a scare. But how do we get the civil and military officials to agree to creating such an organization? Exactly, Emperor Yu sighed regretfully, if I actually set up something like that, those powerful families would probably be banging their heads against the pillars in the palace in protest. But your brother's idea really hits the spot. Your Majesty, why don't you go talk to him about it yourself? Emperor Yu shook his head slightly. No, if I went in person, he might get suspicious of my motives. Let's wait until they're done talking. The advisors nodded in agreement, saying nothing. Inside, Jia Su voiced Emperor Yu's concerns. My lord, if this kind of organization actually gets established, I'm afraid the court officials from those elite families will throw up every roadblock they can find. Heh. Ning Fan chuckled, remaining calm. Let me ask you something. How many officials in the court have clean hands? Even if they're known to be corrupt, bending the law, even causing trouble for the court, would the Imperial Censorate dare to impeach them? Would the Ministry of Justice and the Supreme Court dare to investigate them? All my father needs to do is crack down hard on a few corrupt officials to send a message. Once he's scared the pants off the rest of the court, he can propose establishing a royal guard. They won't have a leg to stand on. The embroidered uniform guard. Hearing Jia Su's question, Ning Fan realized he'd let the cat out of the bag, and quickly laughed it off. The embroidered uniform guard is just a name I came up with for this secret service. I see. Jia Su complimented, walking in fancy clothes under the cover of darkness, watching everything with cold eyes. I'm impressed by your vision, my lord. You're too kind. Ning Fan smiled wryly and shook his head. What we're discussing is just pie-in-the-sky talk for now. You know my background. The blood in my veins means I'll never be in that position. My father will never hand power over to me. But I can't stand the thought of seeing Dayu's centuries of history go down the drain. The fate of the world rests with the people. What I'm doing is just a matter of conscience. Ning Fan's expression was complex, but his eyes were resolute. Fate had given him a second chance, he wasn't about to waste it. Outside, Emperor Yu felt a pang of sadness. He finally understood why his second son was hiding his talents, even at the cost of his reputation. Half of his blood is from the Zhou dynasty. Dayu overthrew the Zhou dynasty, that hatred ran deep. As the son of the Zhou royal family's eldest princess, could King Xianxia be plotting to restore the Zhou dynasty? When the late emperor was alive, he refused to name him heir for that very reason. Fortunately, he'd weathered that storm, but he was still deeply worried and had even named another empress. The second child had always been frail and sickly, and he'd been very fond of him. Over the years, he'd let him do whatever he wanted, even tipping off the warriors who were supposed to discipline him. He just never imagined that to avoid suspicion, this idiot would hide his talent and ruin his reputation. It's my fault. Even if half his blood comes from the Zhou royal family, he's still my son. I never realized my neglect would make him so insecure. Emperor Yu felt a wave of regret. He almost burst in, wanting to shake the boy and demand why he was being so foolish. Your Majesty, His Highness's talent is at least as great as King Sheng's, and his vision puts even I to shame. Indeed. His Highness's words touched my heart. The fate of the world rests with the people. In a matter of moments, the two top officials had completely changed their opinion of the Playboy Prince, filled with admiration. They secretly resolved to get their sons closer to the influential prince. Emperor Yu stood there for a long time, then, with a sudden change of expression, seemed to have made up his mind, saying calmly, "Not a word of what happened today gets out. As far as anyone is concerned, we were never at Prince Xuanyong's residence." Yes, the two nodded, surprised. It seemed His Majesty had made up his mind to take on the powerful families. Ning Fan and Jia Su walked out of the hall and frowned as the three figures disappeared. That figure seemed familiar. Back at the palace, Emperor Yu summoned the leader of the black-clad secret guards, sat on his throne, and said quietly, "Investigate the court officials. I want dirt. Start with the Ministry of Personnel and the Ministry of Justice. And the Supreme Court and the Imperial Censorate. Check them thoroughly. I want to see how many of these people have dirty hands." Seeing Emperor Yu's murderous look, the leader in black bowed respectfully, "As you command. I want real evidence by tomorrow morning." Yes. After the leader in black left, Emperor Yu summoned his trusted ministers and began discussing the royal guard. "Your Majesty, this is a serious matter. It could destabilize the government. So what? Emperor Yu's face was calm, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. He said playfully, are they going to try to usurp the throne? Ahem. Several officials choked, and all bowed, saying they wouldn't dare. Emperor Yu's eyes shone. I've already started the ball rolling. Let the left Prime Minister bring it up in court tomorrow. The secret agency will be called the Embroidered Uniform Guard. Lin Qiushi's face fell. As a representative of the scholars in the court, he wasn't from the four great families, but they had long considered his Lin family as part of their camp. His Majesty was forcing him to pick a side. Minister, I obey. Lin Qiushi sighed helplessly. In his position, he had no choice. His Majesty couldn't touch the four great families, but if he attacked the Lin family, it would cause a stir, but wouldn't shake the foundations of the dynasty. Emperor Yu looked around, satisfied that all the ministers had expressed their views. Wei Ying. I'm here. Hearing the emperor's call, the eunuch stepped forward, and Emperor Yu said casually, go, summon King Xianyong. Go in person. Wei Ying's face changed slightly as he bowed respectfully, as ordered. Chapter 28. Second Brother, what do you think of the current political situation? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Prince Xuanyong's mansion. Your Highness. We found them. Your Highness, the old servant has gathered all the best craftsmen in the capital. See if they're up to the task. Lin Yong grinned, revealing his yellowed teeth. Behind him stood a group of craftsmen in simple clothes, all looking nervously at Ning Fan. Greetings, Your Highness. They all knelt and bowed respectfully, heads to the ground, not daring to look up. At ease, everyone. Ning Fan smiled warmly. No need for formalities. I've called you here because I need your expertise. And don't worry, I'll make it worth your while. Thank you, Your Highness. What is it you need? The craftsman who seemed to be their leader, an older man, spoke with a calm demeanor, showing he was no stranger to important figures. He looked curiously at the drawing Ning Fan handed over. If anyone can create this device, I'll reward you with 10 taels of silver and a position in my palace. Is this true, Your Highness? Does the Prince Xianyong lie? Lin Yong, overhearing the craftsman's doubt, frowned and said sharply, whoever can build this, step forward now. The lead craftsman considered for a moment. Your Highness, this design is rather unusual. It will likely take some time. I'm not in a rush. Ning Fan smiled, glancing at Lin Yong. See to it that these men are comfortable. Yes, Your Highness. Lin Yong led the craftsman away. Ning Fan was about to return to his military texts when he noticed an old man in eunuch robes approaching slowly, escorted by guards. Eunuch Wei. Ning Fan recognized him instantly, surprised to see the emperor's personal attendant at his residence. Wei Ying smiled, bowed slightly, and said, Your Highness, His Majesty requests your presence at the palace. Oh. Ning Fan looked puzzled. Why would Emperor Yu summon him so late? Does my father say why he needs me? Well. Wei Ying gave a wry smile. I don't know the specific reason, but His Majesty and several key officials were discussing something in the Imperial study just now. Ning Fan nodded, a sense of unease settling in. He turned to a guard. Prepare my carriage. Inside the palace, the Imperial study. Your Majesty, His Royal Highness Prince Xianyong has arrived. Ah. Emperor Yu set down his memorial. Show him in. Yes. At the chamberlain's call, Ning Fan entered the hall and bowed, then stood silently before the emperor. Wei Ying. Tell the Imperial kitchen to prepare dinner, with plenty of meat, to nourish our second son. Yes, Your Majesty. Have it served in Qianing Palace. Ning Fan followed Emperor Yu, his brow furrowed. Was this about the incident at the military camp? The red sleeve affair? Or perhaps Chen Fang? They sat down in Qianing Palace, and Ning Fan felt deeply uncomfortable. As far as he could recall, the only time he and his father had dined together was at the annual banquet with all the princes and princesses. No need for formality. Today, we're simply father and son. Relax. Emperor Yu smiled, his gaze towards Ning Fan gentler than usual. Well. Father, if you have something to say, just say it. If you want me dead, just tell me clearly. Otherwise, I won't be able to enjoy this meal. Emperor Yu's smile vanished. He gripped his teacup, his breathing quickening. Heh, father's just kidding. Don't get upset. Son, I have something important to report. Seeing the seriousness on Ning Fan's face, Emperor Yu composed himself and said calmly, when did this happen? Father, I recently uncovered an elite organization in Donghuai. Oh, Emperor Yu looked surprised, picking up his teacup. Tell me about it. Father knows I frequent pleasure houses, seemingly for enjoyment, but I'm actually trying to uncover this spy network. I've endured the flirtations and the curses of my father, and after years of relentless effort, I've finally found some clues. Heh, Emperor Yu's eyes were teasing. So, I've misunderstood you. Father, you're not to blame. I did it willingly. Any sacrifice is worth it to serve Dayu. So, after all this sacrifice, what did you discover? The Red Sleeves are Donghuai's agents. They aim to infiltrate Dayu and influence the war. Hearing Ning Fan's words, Emperor Yu didn't seem surprised. Instead, he asked playfully, what's your evidence? Evidence? I don't have any, but I have a witness. Oh, Ning Fan explained the situation in detail again, but Emperor Yu seemed unconcerned. Don't interfere with the Red Sleeves. Release the person you captured. Release them? Yes, don't tip them off. Seeing Emperor Yu's serious face, Ning Fan understood. The old fox already knew about the Red Sleeves. But why? Was this a trap? Ning Fan's expression shifted, and Emperor Yu continued, how do you know Donghuai is behind the Red Sleeves? Why not Dian, Mabe, or Ligua? Father, Mabe fled to the desert. Their agents are probably lying low. Dian and Ligua are even less likely. Ning Fan relayed the speculations of his staff and Jia Su. Emperor Yu looked surprised and nodded. Good reasoning. I hear you have a new scholar in your service. He's said to be well educated and resourceful. What's his name, and where's he from? Ning Fan was surprised Emperor Yu knew about Jia Su. He's just a poor scholar, full of talk but lacking real talent. Enough nonsense. I'll visit your residence tomorrow to meet him and see for myself if he's as talented as they say. Your Majesty, that's really not necessary. It's settled. Emperor Yu cut him off. Second son, what do you think of the current political situation? Chapter 29, Controlled by Emperor Yu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So, what's your take on the political landscape these days, second brother? Emperor Yu held his teacup, trying to sound casual, but his eyes never left Ning Fan's face. The political landscape? Seriously? Dad, you're asking the wrong guy. If you wanted to know who the hottest courtesan in Beijing is, or who's got the best pipes, I'm your man. But running the country? Ahem. Ning Fan's words made Emperor Yu choke on his tea. He coughed hard, a dark look crossing his face. This little punk is still playing dumb with me. If I hadn't overheard him spouting off about all this in the mansion, I might have actually bought it. Fine, you want to play games? I'll play games. Seeing Emperor Yu's initial anger melt away into calm, Ning Fan couldn't help but be impressed. He's the emperor for a reason, he thought. Just his control alone puts me to shame. Second brother, are you aware just how dicey things are for Dayu right now? We're constantly at war along the borders. Those northern desert tribes have been raiding us for years. Thankfully, Duke Jinghua and Princess Changning have been fighting them back for the past 3 years, pushing them back into the desert. Then you've got Dian to the west, a sleeping tiger ready to pounce and take a bite out of us. The southern barbarians are sharpening their knives, bragging about their million bows and arrows, threatening to attack Dayu any day now. And the eastern front is a life-or-death situation. One slip up, and Dong Huai's armies will be swarming through the Dayu heartland. Emperor Yu sighed. As if that wasn't enough, while we've got loyal and brave soldiers fighting these threats, the real problem is the snakes in our own court. They're living high on the hog, taking bribes and twisting the law. It's a disgrace. Emperor Yu slammed his chopsticks on the table, his gaze fixed on Ning Fan. Ever heard of the four great families? The Chen family of Jiangnan, the Hu of the borderlands, the Changyan Shui clan, yeah, the four great families. Of course, I've heard of them. Good. Emperor Yu nodded, his voice low and serious. Everyone knows the Chen family practically owns Jiangnan and is rich enough to rival a country. But what they don't know is that Chen's horse farms are our primary source of warhorses. They also control the biggest iron mine in Jiangnan, and we buy pig iron from them every year for 1,000,000 taels of silver. The Hu family might not be as wealthy as the Chens, but they control 30% of our salt mines, turning local government into their puppets. The Changyan Shui family has a stranglehold on Jiangbei, controlling the major ferry crossings on the Li River. Even official ships have to pay them fees. 70% of Dayu's business relies on their shipping. As for the Lu family, their ancestors were war heroes and given a hereditary title. That title has been passed down, generation to generation. Their influence in Jiangdong is immense, to the point where they can interfere with the court's authority over the area. The worst part is, they've got a monopoly on our grain stores and manipulate prices. Emperor Yu took a deep breath. Since the founding of our dynasty, we've been plagued by wars. Each emperor has committed to guarding our lands. The previous emperor poured our national strength into flattening the great Zhou, your mother's dynasty. So far, Dayu has barely defended itself on all fronts. Despite the wars, our people haven't had to face the flames of war. Dayu has been around for over a century. No emperor has made particularly big achievements, every emperor has made achievements. When it comes to foreign wars, Dayu has almost never suffered losses. But our internal affairs? A complete mess. Emperor Yu looked helpless. Since taking the throne, I've been trying to weaken these aristocratic families, but the situation is so volatile that even I'm afraid to make a wrong move. But all the civil and military officials in the court are the four great families' lackeys. I'm running out of options. If this keeps up, Dayu will be in chaos within 30 years. We could even fall apart. After hearing Emperor Yu's words, Ning Fan finally understood the terrifying power of the four great families. Salt mines, water transport, these are the lifeblood of a country's economy. Iron ore, horses, these are strategic resources. And food? Food is the foundation of everything. If the Lu family wanted to, they could starve out the court. Food, minerals, shipping, warhorses. All these crucial resources were controlled by families whose power even rivaled the imperial court. I've heard of the four great families, but never realized their power was this deep. Second brother, I've been racking my brain, and I've finally come up with a plan. I need your input. Emperor Yu smiled at Ning Fan. I'm going to establish a secret agency, one that answers only to me. We'll call it, the Imperial Guard, and will give them the authority to patrol and arrest, guard the palace, collect intel, investigate, interrogate, and make arrests. They'll keep tabs on officials within the court and gather intel on military movements beyond it. They'll have the power to execute first and report later. Imperial authority granted. What do you think? As soon as Emperor Yu finished, Ning Fan felt like he'd been struck by lightning, his eyes wide with disbelief. Could it be that Emperor Yu is also a time traveler? Isn't this the Jinui? Seeing Ning Fan's expression, a look of amusement flickered across Emperor Yu's face. Does this plan sound feasible? Yeah, feasible. Dad, you're wise and brave. I'm impressed. But. Ning Fan tried to compose himself. Dad, this is a big deal. We need to think this through. I know. Emperor, you nodded. I'm aware of the risks. The moment I announce this, the civil and military officials in the court will fight me tooth and nail. But how many of them are clean, anyway? I've already got a list of corrupt officials. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to make an example of them to intimidate the court and use the opportunity to propose the establishment of the Imperial Guard. With that done, the court officials naturally had nothing to say. What do you think? Feasible. A hint of mischief sparkled in Emperor Yu's eyes. Cold sweat was now pouring down Ning Fan's forehead, cursing inwardly, Emperor Yu, you old fox. You sent someone to spy on me. That must be it. My conversation with Jia Su yesterday was overheard. I'll find that bastard when I get back. Seeing Ning Fan's changing expressions, Emperor Yu chuckled. Were you thinking that I sent someone to spy on you, and that you would find that person out after you go back? What the? Dad, can you read minds? Do you have a system, too? Chapter 30 Imperial Order. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Emperor Yu didn't pick up on Ning Fan's internal freakout. Instead, he saw his expression and a tiny smile tugged at his lips. What do you know, maybe I did guess what he was thinking. Ahem. My emperor is wise, powerful, brilliant, and perceptive, his sons and ministers admire him deeply. But, father, I think it's best if I discuss this with a few key ministers first. That might soften some of the resistance. Good. Emperor Yu nodded, smiling. I've already considered everything you're saying. But how should we name this agency? And what rank structure should we use? How about we call it, the Embroidered Uniform Guard, Jinyui? We'll have one commander, a third-rank official. Then 2 deputy commanders, also third rank. And 3 supervisors, fourth rank. Each 1,000 household unit will oversee a county, and each 100 household unit under them. Ning Fan thought it over, running the Jinyui organizational structure through his mind. The main difference from the Ming Dynasty version, of course, was the name. Father, the Jinyui will have incredible power and status. Initially, it can definitely consolidate imperial power. But, given enough time, people will inevitably abuse that power. To prevent that, I suggest creating an internal oversight committee, a supervisory committee, to monitor the Jinyui's handling of cases. Emperor Yu listened, thinking hard. This kid's really got something going on in that head of his. What you're saying is good. We'll discuss this in detail tomorrow morning. When you get back, write up a report and hand it in. And you'll be there with us tomorrow morning. Ning Fan's face fell. Father, I'm up to my ears in work right now. Tomorrow's the first day of training for the new army. It's impossible for me to get away. Oh, right, I almost forgot. Emperor Yu set a piece of meat on his plate, then set his chopsticks down. You're making quite a stir with the army. Have you thought about the impact? Impact? What impact? Most of the middle-ranking generals in the new army are nobles here in the capital. Now you're implementing these new rules, which basically means dismissing a large number of them. Aren't you afraid of stirring up resentment? Not at all. Ning Fan grinned, all innocence. I'm just a harmless layabout. Going to the military camp to mess around is a pastime. Any innocent people who may be affected by accident will simply consider themselves unlucky. After all, that image of me, of a son-in-law with nothing to do and a pleasure seeker, is deeply ingrained in the minds of everyone in the capital, every official in the court. No matter how ridiculous I act, it's all considered to be appropriate for my persona. Emperor Yu chuckled, surprised. Shameless, and proud of it. But, that being said, who do you think is worthy of leading the Imperial Guards? Who's right for the job? this. Seeing the emperor's serious expression, Ning Fan felt caught in the middle. He knew next to nothing about the ministers. What was Emperor Yu really asking him here? Father, I told you, when it comes to government affairs, I'm completely clueless. Emperor Yu started to get angry, but thinking back to Ning Fan's words, he softened. After a long pause, he said, almost gently, in that case, you'll take charge. Tomorrow morning, I'll issue the decree. Ning Fan froze. Him as commander of the embroidered uniform guard? That was like throwing himself into a furnace. Once the Jinui was established, it would be a thorn in the side of the noble families and corrupt officials. He had no support in the court, no network, and he'd be targeted right away. Father, this is absolutely. He was about to refuse when he heard the system's chime, ding. System task released, serve as commander of the embroidered uniform guard. Task deadline, 7 days. Task requirement, successfully obtain the position of commander of the Imperial Guard. Task reward, Ming Dynasty embroidered uniform guard commander, Dian Wei, 14 embroidered uniform guard 1000 household commanders, embroidered uniform guard elite * 1000. Father, this is exactly what I should do. With me as commander of the royal guards, I'll be your blade in the dark. No matter if it's a powerful family or a corrupt official, I'll be a blade in your hand. They're just a bunch of chickens and lapdogs. Give me a month, and I promise you a royal guard that'll shake this nation. Emperor Yu, who had expected a rejection, looked surprised at the sudden turnaround. He smiled. Good. I hope you'll live up to my expectations and show me what you can really do. Your son obeys. Ning Fan saluted, feeling a rush of excitement. If he were given an empty shell and expected to fight against the court, he wouldn't want to. But if there was a ready-made Jinui, it would be incredibly useful for his future plans, making him even more powerful. After discussing business, father and son began to joke around. Ning Fan sprinkled in some edgy and dirty comments, which left Emperor Yu speechless. Gradually, the two completely forgot about the gulf between monarch and subject. Father, do you believe that lumps of iron can fly through the sky? That's nonsense. Hey, I've seen it with my own eyes. You kid, when will you stop fooling around and start being more responsible? Then you'll be able to shoulder some real burdens. Father, you're kidding. I'm just a big dandy. With this token, you can enter and leave the palace freely from today on, without needing to report. Is this the Imperial warrant? Ning Fan stared at the golden token in his hand, surprised. It was just a pass, but it was far more than that coming from Emperor Yu. In a way, holding this token represented Emperor Yu himself. It could even be used to mobilize some of the city defense troops. Father, you're too generous. I'll definitely treat you to a trip to the Fengxiang Tower to repay your kindness. Get out of here. Walking out of the palace, Ning Fan stopped and looked back, a hard glint in his eyes. The Jinui was just the beginning. He'd never expected to be commander, but he'd never given up on forming a force of his own. Taking the position of Jinui commander put him in the open, attracting attention, which would make things easier in the long run. Even though he and the emperor had gotten along well today, Ning Fan wasn't taking it to heart. As they say, there's no family in the royal family. He couldn't afford to be trusting and unguarded with Emperor Yu just because of a moment of tenderness. Stepping out of the palace, his face set, he found Dian Wei waiting. The two ran towards the Xianyong palace without a word. And, almost at the same moment, several figures ran out of the palace, heading in different directions. The wind was about to blow.